All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The conversation has already started even during the break. Let me introduce my guest real quick. Annie Reri, chairperson, ELOG, is here with us. Thank you so much for making time. Wanjiru Gikonyo, national coordinator, TISA, and convener, Okoa Uchumi campaign. Thank you so much for making time. And Dr. Ekuru Aukot, constitutional lawyer, CEO, Committee of Experts on the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Asante sana for making time. Yeah. Yes.
CEO of the Committee of Experts. I was.
Your ex-CEO.
The party leader of Thirdway Alliance Kenya.
All right.
This is the undermining of different political voices that you...
It is a good thing that you brought that up just now during the break. You were saying that it is a declaration of the media that there's a two-horse race, and it's not true.
To be honest, partly it is, because I think I consider the media a mouthpiece that can help a country change in terms of thinking, in terms of new narrative.
Yeah.
But media have propagated this idea that Kenyan political narrative, especially at the very top, is about either Ruto or Raila. And I was just asking, Gikonyo and I was talking about the fact that maybe Nairobi needs a governor. I asked her why. She says because the Jubilee baggage. But then at the same time, let's go to the national. Kenya, in my view, needs a good president, a transformative president, who can then influence policy downwards that will benefit the people of Kenya. But see, media isn't helping because it's propagating the same baggage that Gikonyo is referring to.
Yeah.
If Jubilee administration is a failed administration and everybody agrees it's a failed administration, how then is it that the number 2 person who actually deputized this baggage, this problem, this national debt that's now going towards 80 billion, the failed political projects, how is it that then that person is a person to beat in 2022? How is it that the same Jubilee administration, chaperoned by Uhuru Kenyatta, is actually supporting a person who even swore himself as president against the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya? And for some of us who are lawyers, we feel this is very insulting, and which is why for me, my challenge to all of us is, can we try new thinking? Yes, you said that when you hosted Kigame, Ruben Kigame, people were saying, he has good ideas, but that's typical Kenya. We have to help Kenyans think outside the box. And these same people have been part and parcel of the problem. Because for me, to be honest, I don't see anything new that will come with Ruto administration. I don't see anything new that will come with Raila administration. They have been part and parcel of the problems this country have gone through. Because honestly, even if you look at their own political track record, I wish you can actually say, we can associate this person with this transformative policy, transformative agenda. It has all along been problems after problems. And we keep on propagating this in our daily newspapers, in our media. I mean, even if you have to be critical, just thinking outside, look at how they managed the pandemic, the corona pandemic. On the one hand, government is telling people, wear masks in public, but look at how we throng the rallies. And maybe that's where, again, the problem comes with the people. So I cannot only say it's the people of Kenya. I think change in a country, in society, is also about leadership. It's about stewardship. So if you don't have a good steward up there, then you see the people will just be a reflection of that particular leadership.
Are you running again?
Yes, I would be running.
For?
For president. I'm not going for anything less.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're here now. You don't think, what is your vision for this country?
That can't be considered a serious run, because it's an insult to the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
If you come in just before the opening of the electioneering period to come and present your candidacy, when you know very well that there are people who've been canvassing the ground and what?
Yeah, against the law, against the Constitution.
Yeah, let her finish.
Is against the law, but building your base, especially if you're trying to unseat a very strong incumbent, is not. Now, Kenyans, I think, are very, very critical of leaders who come in late. Peter Kenneth, 2017, even though he had, the national name recognition, came into Nairobi at the very last minute, and Nairobians were not impressed, much as possibly he'd have even made a better candidate than the way Nairobi eventually went.
Yeah.
So Kenyans, I agree in many regards, Kenyans, we are a contradiction. On one hand, we will punish leaders who we see don't take us seriously by at least doing the groundwork necessary to earn our vote. But then, by the same token, we then have this very selective amnesia, where we choose what we remember, choose what we forget. And right now, Kenyans are very unhappy because I agree, the economic mismanagement of the Jubilee administration of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto has ravaged the lives of Kenyans. And so we want to punish the administration by voting in William Ruto and then absolve him of his role in this process. But I also think that we are in there's a contradiction that we have been unable to unravel. In 2003, Kenyans were voted the most optimistic people in the world, and we had a popularly elected government. Kenyans went and frog-marched a police officer from a matatu to a police station for soliciting a bribe. Now, when that promise was broken, unfortunately, the events of the administration and the events of 2013, 2017 have only gone to break the spirit of Kenyans, further enhance our cynicism, further alienate us from this democratic project. So the question we should be asking ourselves is how, despite the evident bad situation we are in, do we reignite in Kenyans the need for the fight for our democracy, so that we say, let's not give up, let's not capitulate, because what we are seeing is a capitulation.
Yes. Well, I want to respectively disagree with Gikonyo that any Kenyan today who wants to offer their candidature is a joker or a scamlet. First of all, I mean, let's look at the law. First of all, IEBC has not nominated anyone. That is the law in the Republic of Kenya. So to say that somebody who offers their candidature right now, like say I want to do, that I've come too late. Let's examine what has been the political mobilization in this country right from after 2017. It's been about tribalism, it's about political conmanship, but the same people now we think are the people to beat. I mean, Gikonyo is also a contradiction on herself, because she says, this Jubilee administration is failed. But at the same time, the same Jubilee administration is chaperoning two individuals. One who has deputized our problem, the other who has come through something called handshake, and there is absolutely nothing. And Gikonyo, with all due respect, look at, for example, the motion, the Punguza Mizigo bill that was promoted by Third Way Alliance Kenya under my leadership. It really meant, for example, to address issues of corruption, take development to the ward level, address the cost, the burden of governance in this country, reduce the size of parliament that is costing Kenyans today 37.5 billion Kenya shillings without any value coming from this village called Parliament or National Assembly. You tell me, what has the ODM or Jubilee done compared to what Third Way Alliance Kenya did in terms of bringing that motion? And what did they do? They fought it so hard because our idea was more powerful and was going to transform this country much better than what we have seen with the Jubilee, with ODM and the rest. So I would say, let's not dismiss. If any good Kenyan today comes and actually you put them on the scale and compare with Ruto, Raila and the rest, that is the kind of new thinking I wish Kenyans can have and say, I think let's give a shot to this particular individual.
Let me bring in Anon. All this is quagmire. We've started with a high octane, just straight off the bat without taking a look at the papers. Where's the problem? Is it the media or the people?
I would say it's the people, which includes the media. I think one of the things we've observed, and I agree with my panelists, my co-panelists, is that at some point Kenyans lost interest. Clear evidence of this is look at the numbers of young Kenyans who have come out to vote, to register as new voters. It is alarming that in a country where we expected to have at least 6.5 million new voters, we are shy of even 2 million new voters. And this speaks to the lack of interest. And why the lack of interest? I think over time, we have sadly left politics to the political class. Politics determines every aspect of our lives. Kenyans need to get back to the game. They need to be members of political parties. We have now been reduced to having political parties and politics that is unnecessarily dirty, that would make people shy away. Yet, if you look at, for example, Trevor, a ballot paper is a culmination of persons who we are left to choose out of a nomination process which Kenyans ought to be part and parcel of. So we need to be able to go back to Kenyans, to be able to draw the nexus between the politics and their day-to-day life, their cost of living, the welfare of their children. And beyond that, de-stigmatize politics by it being left to the political class, to it appearing that it's goonish, it has to be violent.
Yeah.
And thirdly, really delink politics from individuals. We are having individuals who own political parties, which does not streamline and strengthen the institutions that political parties ought to be. The more we have more Kenyans across the divide, whether it's in white-collar jobs, blue-collar jobs, being free to participate in whatever political party is their choice, then we'll have more voices of democracy, we'll strengthen the systems, and at the end of the day, when you look at a ballot paper on a general election, you'll have close to what reflects the people, because everyone has been involved in the process, not being left to individuals.
All right. Dr. Ekuru, you're running for president. What is your vision for this nation? Say, where do you want to start?
First of all, I believe that Kenya really has been let down for the longest time by leadership. If you go back to independence, and let's be good students of history, at independence we were told that it will reduce poverty, disease, and ignorance in this country. Today is one of the biggest burdens that Kenyans are actually facing. Corruption, I mean, we don't call it corruption in Third Way Alliance Kenya, we call it theft of public money. If you look at the way money is being stolen from both all counties, 47 counties of them, the government departments, honestly, that has to come to an end, because this is affecting health, it's affecting education, it's affecting everything. And like Anna said, politics, in my view, in our definition at the party, is the totality of everything. It's those decisions that actually affect whether you can actually be, you are safe with a current pandemic, you are vaccinated, you're mass tested, you're all those things. So for me, I think, first of all, Kenya needs a really new political leadership. And let me share with you maybe a very tired example. It is said that in the 1960s, Kenya was at par with the tiger economies of Singapore, Malaysia, and the rest. 50 years later, I mean, even a beggar in the streets of Singapore is actually a millionaire, because if you look at their per capita, you know, GDP. So really what went wrong with us, it is stewardship. So this country needs stewardship, because for me, leadership that is supposed to transform a country is a value that must cascade downwards. We must see a benefit of the top leadership policy decisions. In security today, I come from Turkana East. Kapedo is basically a battlefield. You know, we are burying people every day. Because why? Because we have got a government that is not taking security very, very seriously. So all these things we really need to, Ombija today, education. I mean, ordinary Kenyans today struggle just to get transport to go to school, leave alone fees. Why isn't our education free like other countries? Why isn't universal health care free for this country? I remember when I was reporting to the University of Nairobi in 1993, I didn't need to go to Kenyatta or Nairobi Hospital to do my medical test. I did it from a dispensary. And I got my medical report. That's missing today. During Kanu's time, people used to say, oh, Kanu was a dictatorship. Yes, I agree to some extent. But there used to be a school system called the Kenya School Equipment Scheme. The school material will reach you even for as far as Todonyangu, Turkana North, or Longolonga somewhere in Kwale. Today, all that is not there. So we need to restore you know, the promise of independence, and that takes leadership.
Okay. Wanjiru, where do we begin?
And maybe to last I still want to revisit, really, the Punguza Mizigo bill, because I really believe that we must reduce the governance of leadership in this country. It's one big burden that Kenyans are carrying. It's affecting the economy, it's affecting health, it's affecting everything. And we really need to look at it. What are our priorities? Today, our priorities are completely misplaced. It's about tribal mobilization, it's about interest, and that's why when I look at the newspapers, the way they choreograph 2022, Kenyans are being duped to believe that Ruto or Raila are the best. These people are actually looking at their own personal interest. And it won't surprise me, Trevor, if tomorrow, looking at the calculations, Ruto and Raila will say, you know, there are no permanent enemies in politics. And they will gang up together again. And who will be the losers? The people of Kenya.
Yeah. But Wanjiru, where do we start? Because I don't speak on behalf of the media, but I've had this statement one too many times. Dr. Ekuru is here now. He's a presidential candidate. He's mentioned what his agenda is. What more should we do? Isn't it enough to give a platform, an equal platform for all of them?
Well, no, I think if you look critically at the media, of course, you have to go back into the ownership of the media and the interests of the media. And I think that is very clear in terms of what stories get followed up, what stories get told. So, unfortunately, with big media, there are interests. If you look at it from a point of political impartiality, that gets compromised. So, what do we do? And this is why you've seen new and alternative media coming up and carrying stories that are critical of the government of the day in a more consistent manner. So I think we have a very dynamic media, but is it a media for the social transformation we need? I would say the mainstream media is not, because they are beneficiaries of the status quo. So really, I agree with Dr. Ekuru. I think he's late. If he's running for president, I still hold that.
You know, the campaign season has not even started officially.
It hasn't. It hasn't. But you need to win the hearts of people, and you need to do your grassroots work. You know, it's not really just showing up when the issue is announced. So
I think where we are.
So where we are, Dr. Ekuru, the point is, what do we do? And is the media doing its role? The media is doing well, but the media falls on the side of status quo. And the challenge we have as Kenya is, how do we get the transformation we need? Yeah. How do we unroot this, the kleptocracy? How do we unroot these interests that have managed to subvert our constitution? And still, we've actually, instead of dealing with corruption, we've seen corruption go into the trillions. Because initially, we were talking about corruption under the Moi administration and saying a country can't grow if you're stealing public resources. We then saw the Anglo-leasings of the Kibaki administration. Under this administration, we've seen the SGR, we've seen a litany that has driven this country into an economic crisis. So the challenge we are facing as Kenyans is, how do we unseat this monster? And what seems to be happening with the public is people are making calculations and saying, well, as long as this monster is here, I'm going to play the short-term game. I'm going to show up for political rallies. I'm going to get a little bit for myself today because Nikubaya, so let me just play, look for my immediate interests. The media, I think, plays it very safe. The media, like I said, benefits from the status quo. That's where the money is. But what do we do? And I think I agree with Dr. Ekuru's criticism that we are too theoretical. Perhaps even us as civil society have sat too long looking at the problem. The solution really is, how do you create transformation? You need to disrupt the institutions that are causing the injustice. And how do you disrupt? You need to do political mobilization. Political mobilization is not just joining political parties. You can also do political mobilization. In fact, some of the strong foundations of political mobilizations are unions and associations. And unfortunately, and one of the most insidious aspects of the Jubilee administration is weakening the teachers' unions, infiltration of the health unions, weakening student association at university so that you no longer have the voice, weakening institutions like the judiciary through threats around, withholding of budgets. So unfortunately, this administration has not only violated and undermined the constitution, it has also weakened some of the institutions that would form the basis for this revolution. So what do we need? We need to go back and strengthen those associations. We need to put give power to the people, so that where you have associations, let's say of the informal sector, they are democratic, they are based on a philosophy, they understand the transformation that's needed, so that they are not easily duped and manipulated by political leaders come the elections. So yes, I agree, we need to join political parties. We need to get active there. We need that civic education, but we also need to strengthen formations. I'll give a last example. Githunguri Farmers is a very good example of bottom-up development, where citizens got together, farmers got together, organized themselves around the dairy sector. What happened? The administration, the Jubilee administration of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, passed laws, regulations that weakened the foundation of Githunguri farmers. So rather than empowering, because empowerment is economic, rather than empowering and organic citizen formation, they weakened it. And if you look at the policies of this administration, they have done that. They have pushed contractors, local contractors, out of business by changes in the public procurement law. They have, weakened, like I said, the formations in the private and public universities through the kind of laws and regulations, small tweaks that you make, so where you're able to control public dissent. So we need to recognize we have registered major reversals in the democratic trajectory. And we need to really revisit how we go back to that. So 2022 is an election between the bad and the bad. And we are choosing through two evils, from two evils. So we don't want to discourage people and say it all is lost.
But even you keep saying that we're choosing between two evils, but there are many options that have been there. Why are you focusing on the only two?
There is Gikonyo here. You know, Trevor. I mean, Wanjiru has said made very important points. But one of the reasons I decided to join politics is to stop lamentation, which I hear from Wanjiru and many other Kenyans. Because we have surrendered the country to a very tiny minority who we are now describing as the bad, the worst, whatever the case may be. And yet there are many, many, many Kenyans out there. And today, if I go to social places and my friends keep on lamenting while drinking whiskeys and wines and the rest, you know what I tell them? We've come here, kama ni kukunywa, let's just drink. But stop lamenting while you are having a good time in some high-end restaurants in this country and you're not offering yourself. So one of the practical things that we need to do, Wanjiru, is not to be analytical, to come to Trevor Mbija shows and analyze how bad things are. I want us to offer ourselves and say, we can lead this country. And I wish you can say today, I'm running for President of the Republic of Kenya because I want to change, to reverse all those bad decisions of Jubilee administration, so that the farmer in Githongori is not negatively affected. And you and I can sit down and say, okay, Wanjiru, between you and I, we all have the same mindset. We don't have to compete. I'm more than happy to go back to teach law and do my consultants, do my legal practice and make money. So long as I know the country is in the hands of the right person. And I think today we analyze a lot the ills of this administration and the political class in this country, but we don't offer ourselves. You know what they say? And I've had occasion to interact with some of these fellows. They say, so long as these guys are just analytical in the TV rooms and whatever, they don't care. For them, they wake up one morning, where is a funeral today? Because that's their bread and butter. There is their bread and butter which is really affecting us negatively. So in my view is we really need to get involved and try to occupy that space, even as we try to empower the majority. Our failure to do that, let me tell you, they are happy, they are smiling, they know, so long as these people just analyze these situations in whatever places, they don't care.
But and is it also an institutional failure, a systemic failure? Because we have institutions that we look up to clear some of these people who now Wanjiru is saying a choice between the bad and the bad. IEBC is there, EACC is there, DCI is there. There are many cases that keep coming, but they drag on for too long, the judiciary itself. Is it an institutional problem then?
I think in all fairness, we've seen quite some progress in terms of especially the judiciary, because we interact a lot with them. We have seen there is that deliberate effort to try and restore the rule of law to adhere to the Constitution. But it is also not fair for us as a country, for lack of a better word, to allow thieves to bring themselves to the clearance and accept and have few institutions who are human barring them, yet they'll claim they have masses. It has to start with us. And I think that's what we are seeing here, because at the end of the day, there's only so much lamenting we can do, Trevor. There's only so much analysis we can do. But on the positive side, and it's good to give credit where it's due, I think in 2022, away from the race at the top that seems to be hogging the space, across the seats, you're having numerous numbers of young people, women, minority persons living with disability, offering themselves for office. And I think these are the stories we need to really amplify and tell Kenyans there is choice. You're not stuck with the same old pattern of choosing in people who come and just make noise, because at the end of the day, as Kenyans, we need to separate the substance from the noise. Be able to vet if someone is offering offering themselves for member of county assembly, member of parliament, what is their track record? Integrity issues, because the crisis we are having in this country is a crisis of integrity. A crisis where we are seeing what is wrong being allowed to be right, that is costing our lives. We are seeing the cost of living going high. I know it's interesting. I was just discussing with some friends some time back, Trevor, that if you look at a city like Nairobi, and most of us woke up early to be here, if you analyze from 2 years ago, the number of Kenyans walking to work, it is a flood. And that should call us to question what is happening. Is it a failure of public transportation? To imagine that someone has to walk from as far as Kawangware to go to industrial area to work and earn possibly 100 shillings or 200, yet bread by itself is 100 shillings, and go back home, yet we are having mega billion infrastructural problems. That speaks to a failed state, and we need to call it out for what it is. So we need to be able then to have Kenyans to have decisions. And away from what I agree that Wanjiru has said in terms of joining the unions and having strong institutions, even the discussions we used to have, Trevor, at town hall level, that we have public participation that is not choreographed. Let's have Kenyans speaking out. Let them come and say what their problems are without it being choreographed, that this is where we are seeing the challenge. Because at the end of the day, what we are facing is now another 5 years of crisis, especially economically. And this is what happens, Trevor. If at the end of the day, my issues are bread and butter, I'm wondering how am I going to educate my child? If I leave my girl child at home, she's going to face gender-based violence or be married off early. What frame of mind do I have to even contribute to development? To say, I want a dam there, or we want the cattle dip there. So we have got to fix the bread and butter issues, and it's going to be painful and long, but we must be deliberate. That we call out where wrong is wrong, we call for accountability. We need to question at what point did bread in this country, or whatever, whether it's flour, really plummet from what it was to amounts that Kenyans can't afford. Yet there are people who are comfortable and seem to be able to afford this kind of life. And once we do that, then we are able to bring more people into the fold of the conversation. And those who are offering themselves for office will know that there is really the lens that is looking at them in terms of accountability and integrity. That is very important.
All right.
Yeah.
Now to take a quick break, we have Dr. Ekuru here. There's Boni Sa, who agrees with Wanjiru, who says currently Kenya doesn't need any politician. But other options like Dr. Ekuru quote to come in too late and find Kenyans have already made a choice between evil and evil.
So you see, Trevor, and that's where the problem is in this country. Because Kenyans, first of all, don't even analyze political lies they are being told out there. So somebody can lie to you, and you know they're lying to you. I mean, and to be honest with you, I think I've come to the conclusion, Trevor, that when it comes to politics in Kenya, I think witchcraft is real. And I never used to believe in witchcraft, but political witchcraft is very real in Kenya. Because how is it that people can lie to you openly, advance lies, promises they promised you, and nothing has happened? For example, let's analyze the so-called two big names, what they have promised. Raila Amolo Odinga comes and says, I'll give you guys 6,000 every month?
Yes.
Every month. He has not told us where he'll get that money from. And he is not talking about corruption. We never had them talk about how they will stop corruption or theft of public money. William Ruto, on the other hand, who was promising Kenyans in 6 months, in 3 months, a dam in Kimarini, I don't know where, or I'll even bring bundles. He promised young people bundles at ward level. You know? Now they are coming to tell Kenyans, in the 21st century, the symbol of your economic liberation is a wheelbarrow. So you give my people, say, in Kapedo or, Lokitang, wheelbarrows. What are they going to do with it? With a wheelbarrow? Then the other one comes and talks about Azimio la Umoja, the dream of oneness. This, if you analyze it critically, Azimio la Umoja in this country was betrayed just right after independence. And there has never been any attempt to actually bring Kenyans together. In fact, from 2018, we started going really south in this country. The political animosity and ethnicity became so much that, Kenyans are beginning to lose hope. So I don't think it is too late for any Kenyan today, leave alone Ekuru Aukot. After all, I mean, us guys have been trying to do what we can as a political party from 2017 up to 2019, 2020, when the political pests came into our party and infiltrated, our party, because we were bringing an idea called Punguza Mizigo Kenya against BBI that was actually going to undermine the constitution of this country and the rule of law and advance political mobilization. We presented a better idea, but Kenyans don't analyze. So I think even as we go forward, let Kenyans tell us, of all these people who has better policies. I was told...
Dr. Ekuru, you see,
let him finish.
Low opinion
Wanjiru,
of Kenyans.
Wanjiru, let him finish.
I'll give you a chance.
I'll give you a chance to respond. Let him finish. Just let him
Wanjiru,
finish the line of thought.
I'm also
you said Kenyans don't analyze.
But it's true. I'm also advancing your own argument earlier that the leadership you see in this country today is a reflection of us. Why? And I'm saying this because we don't question the lies that we are being told as a people so that we can make political choices. Because when we go to the vote...
Let him finish.
That wasn't my argument. That wasn't my
argument. Finish.
That was
let me make it mine.
Let him finish.
Let me make my argument. Yeah. So it is my argument that if Kenyans were able to actually interrogate individuals, and I say this, why? Because one of the geniuses of Kenya's constitution, Trevor, is chapter 6. Leadership and integrity.
Yeah.
And Kenyans, and I was in the committee of experts, and Wanjiru, you are in the civil society, if I remember at that time, very well, and you participated actively. One of the things that Kenyans said, and this, by the way, I've gone to a number of countries now to try and help with the constitution-making process, including South Sudan, and people love the Kenyan constitution, how progressive it is. And one of the things they keep on asking, why did you guys come with a chapter called leadership and integrity? And by the way, it's the only, I think, constitution in the world that has dedicated an entire chapter on leadership and integrity. Why? Because Kenyan said one of the failures of our society today is the lack of leadership. And therefore, they wanted a certain type and character of leaders.
Yeah.
Now, to my point, Kenyans are failing themselves. You give yourself a good formula, a good chapter called leadership and integrity, but then when thieves and smugglers and whatever rapists come and present before you for leadership, you keep on saying, I would rather pick the rapist or the thief. So that's why I'm saying we need to interrogate, because when we go to the polling station, we are making a choice.
Okay.
Yeah, we're making a choice.
All right.
Today, in political rallies, you have a government on the one hand that tells you wear masks in public. Then Kenyans throng there at the risk of being infected by this pandemic with a government that is not mass testing them, that's not mass vaccinating them. Health services has failed in this country. So I think it's a problem of Kenyans. Going back to Anne's point, if it's about bread and butter, why do you leave your home to go to a rally on a weekday when you should actually be struggling to put food on your table? Okay. So yes, to some extent, to be honest with you, I blame Kenyans on the one hand, but I also blame the leadership that is failing to give proper guidance to the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wanjiru, you don't think Kenyans are to blame?
As a parent.
Well, what I don't agree is when we message to imply that the way out of this, we would love to get good leadership. Transformation happens in many ways. It can happen top down, it can happen bottom up, it can happen through the middle, it happens sometimes after a crisis.
Yeah.
So where are we as Kenyans? Number one, we've made grounds. We have a new constitution, thanks to your very great leadership and contribution to that process and other great people, new constitution. So we've got good laws, but we have a bad culture, a bad political culture, we have bad business culture. So even as Kenyans, we have bad cultures. So what we forgot was to deal with the culture. The other thing that has happened is we have an administration that has undermined systems. Our electoral system from 2013, 2017 has been challenged. This government actually suffers a legitimacy crisis. So when you're talking about a broken system, when you're talking about broken culture, you can't then heap all the blame on Kenyans and say Kenyans don't analyze. No, Kenyans do a very good calculation. They see with all that is wrong, let me think about today, because these people are in it for themselves. So if you look at the opinion polls of Kenyans around governance and corruption, and you see their political behavior, there's a dichotomy. And I think that if we want to deal with that dichotomy, we have to go a little bit deeper. So I agree. Our solution is more complex. Yeah. It has to be multi-pronged, and I do agree. We need more people of integrity offering themselves up for leaders, but we need more Kenyans holding leaders to account. We also need good leaders in business, because a lot of the corruption that's happening right now in Kenya is happening through business.
Yeah.
We need leadership in churches. So what I don't agree with is that leadership is just political, because we have religious leaders, we've got business leaders, we've got leaders of the SACCO and the cooperative. And as long as there is corruption in all of those,
yeah,
we are not going to get far as Kenyans. So it's a complex problem. We need a multi-pronged approach. I think, yes, we do need good civil society leaders, good actors to offer themselves up for political leadership. But we need to do that against a reality that you need to deal with the culture, you need to deal with the systems.
Yeah.
Otherwise, good people are going into politics and getting consumed,
okay,
and getting swallowed.
All right.
So we need Third Way Alliance. What Third Way Alliance should have done around Punguza Mzigo is do not relent.
No,
you see, Kibaki fought the Moi administration, when you look at DP and the various formations around that, for almost 15 years before acceding to power. So the other thing we need is to realize,
yeah, for
us to unseat this, the kleptocracy,
yeah,
the kleptocracy, we need to go in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
We need to work at the local level. We need to strengthen these citizen-based formations, yeah, and we need also to get leaders in politics. But unfortunately, we show up just around elections, we talk, then we go back to business as usual. Last point, Kenyans, the culture of engagement. Kenyans need to recognize that the decisions, good governance, or rather good electoral choices begin after the last election. Yeah. So the extent to which ordinary Kenyans have been involved in their local public participation processes, putting petitions across, holding their MCA to account, is a direct reflection of the kind of election we're going to have 5 years later. So we need to be active at elections. We also need to be active in between elections.
Okay.
And for that, we need a more concerted push. And in that, I agree we failed because we are talking more than we are acting. And we need I believe it's a people's movement, okay, that will save this country.
All right, I have to take a quick break, Dr. Kurenda, and I have to take a quick break here on Daybreak. I see a lot of your feedback coming through at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. When you come back, let's talk about the political formations in Chapter 6, Leadership and Integrity. All right, see you in just a bit.